Thanks. I'm Rebecca White. I'm the Director of Parking and Transportation. I'm just going to wrap up the formal comments for this afternoon and turn it back over to Ida Lee. But I wanted to start with what we are building upon. I was here back in June of '07 at the Greener Grounds presentation, and I just want to provide an update and then, like everyone else did, provide a little bit of a glimpse into the future. But we're building on 2 years or so of an organized, integrated approach to transportation demand management. The definition of TDM, or transportation demand management, is sort of the art of reducing the use of single occupancy vehicle. I've noticed in the paper lately that every time I see the word transportation in the headline, I get excited, but then I realize it's almost always about roads. And in this case, it's always not about roads. We're talking about transit, carpooling, biking, walking, that sort of thing. So I do need to set that stage, that we're talking about that kind of transportation. We are building on it being comprehensive, supportive of the university's visions and policies. We certainly don't want to have all these exciting projects and have them degraded by traffic, congestion, and emissions. So that's where our tie comes in. We are happy to be building on TDM in the university's master plan. It's reinforced by the physical design that comes with these master plans. It's also coupled with parking and land use management. That's very key. You don't want to have encourage people not to drive, but yet have free and plentiful parking. Those two goals do not line up very well. We also need it tailored to the different land use strategies and to different groups. And very key is the marketing and communication of a transportation demand management plan. So on the next slide, there were a few very specific strategies that we discussed about 15 months ago now. One of our hallmark strategies is reciprocal ridership on Charlottesville Transit. What we established was, if you showed your UVA ID, you could ride that any of the Charlottesville Transit routes without paying the fare. And what we've noticed, you can see our graph here, is that our ridership has increased significantly, not only in raw numbers, but as a representative percentage of all of Charlottesville Transit riders. Just to give you an idea, in the summer of 2007, you can see the trend is certainly up, but that represented about 13,000 riders at that time. But we represented 11% of total ridership. Once you get up to the spring and summer of 2008, our raw numbers actually go up to about 18,500 riders per month. But since Charlottesville Transit has been successful increasing all their ridership, our percentage went up to 13%. But I wanted to share those raw numbers to give you an idea of how many people are taking advantage of that. We have advertised it much more broadly. There seems to be greater awareness of it. We've taken advantage of mass emails, but I think importantly we've been featured in new employee orientation for both the medical center and the university to again try to reinforce these options that people have. But to give you an idea, it represents between probably 400 people a day that use transit instead for their commute rather than driving their car. As usual this year, we jointly publish a rider's guide for both Charlottesville and University Transit, and we do have a table over here that I invite you to visit after the formal presentation to pick up a copy of that. Approaching present day, we did, in the spring of 2008, we did plan this quite extensively. We commissioned the Center for Survey Research, which is right here in Charlottesville, right part of the Weldon Cooper Center, I believe, to do a scientific survey for us on people's commuting patterns, but not just how they commute, but what is important to area commuters so that we could establish strategies to nudge people away from their single occupancy vehicle. We've obtained a wealth of information and have the PowerPoint over at our table if you were interested in seeing how many people at UVA drive themselves and what sort of strategies could possibly nudge them out of that single occupancy vehicle. The next strategy, which is near and dear is a GPS-based bus arrival prediction system. This has really revolutionized passenger transit because it takes the unknown out of going to the bus stop. That's a big barrier to people riding transit, especially if a bus only comes every 30 minutes or every 20 minutes. But both Charlottesville and University Transit implemented an integrated system. It's the exact same system for both that provides a bus prediction of when the bus will actually arrive at your stop. You can obtain that information on the web, both at the normal website and the mobile website. So if you have one of those devices that can obtain mobile web information, you can get that. There's also a cell phone number. And at the 20 most popular stops of UTS, and I think, what do they have, about 30 in Charlottesville Transit, there's a push button bus predictor there. We've also expanded our occasional parker program. That's a program that supports people who don't want to commit to a full-time parking permit. They perhaps bike sometimes, they carpool, they might use transit, but every so often, and we all have it, an occasion to use their car that day. They might be attending a meeting that night or having a doctor's appointment or something like that. So we did start to hear this need of, hey, wouldn't it be great to have an occasional parker permit? We have expanded that program to include now the Culbreth Road Garage, and I counted this morning, we have about 250 permit holders that have taken us up on that option rather than buying a full year permit. Well, we're up to the summer of 2008, and I wanted to share, and I'd invite everyone to come to the Parking and Transportation website. We do have a central resource for many of the transportation alternatives that people can use to get out of their single occupancy vehicle and reduce traffic and emissions. It's sort of organized in these three categories: be active, be driven, be involved. And as you click on each one of those, on the be active part, you'll see all the resources and support that you can get if you're going to bike or walk to grounds. Under the be driven, you'll get all of the regional transportation options, transit options, that is. Charlottesville Transit, University Transit, Jaunt, Greene County Transit, all those sorts of things. On the be involved, that's where you'll find many of our carpool and van pool incentives. We partner up with Jaunt on a survey. There's a survey there on there right now for a potential commuter route from Crozet. So I invite you to take a look at that TDM website. It's comprehensive. It's sort of a one-stop shop. On July 21st this summer, we were very happy to announce a carpool incentive program. Whoops. I think that's the next slide. Yeah, sorry. We have a carpool incentive program that would provide not only cheaper, but closer parking for people who share the ride rather than driving themselves. We were able to launch in July, and as of last week, we have a little over 100 participants representing about 50 carpools. The next thing we did in the summer of 2008, we were very busy in the summer of 2008, we redid our bus routes to make them more efficient. We had not updated our routes in over 20 years. It didn't address any of the housing shifts or anything like that, so we were seeking to improve our on-time performance, our passenger counts per hour, and we were seeking to lower our passenger costs per hour. We are about 6 weeks into that project and are able to be measuring those kinds of efficiencies. Now, when we look into the future, this is the next slide, we are working on several things that we should come to fruition over the next few years, and some much sooner than others. In the fall of 2008, what you will finally see are bike racks on the front of University Transit buses. That'll bring us in line with Charlottesville Transit and Jaunt so that somebody could break up their commute by bus and by bike. We are just getting that project underway, but we expect that by the end of this fall term, we should have bike racks on all the front of our buses. About 15 months ago when we were here, we had published a smart transportation map that layered bike and transit onto one map. Well, we're about to reissue that map, but this time it's going to include additional amenities for people to be smart about their transportation, including covered bike parking, places where people can purchase bike parts, including the U.Va bookstore and TJ's Locker, and the location of all of our occasional Parker program locations. Those three things, and expanding the occasional Parker program areas, we are looking at other parking lots, including in the medical center, where we can address this need. What we've really learned is a commute is not a one-size-fits-all. It's not that somebody commutes the exact same way every single day. So we're looking to the medical center for some additional occasional Parker program areas. Much longer term, and that means probably not in the next 6 months, but longer term than that, 1 to 5 years probably, we're looking at van pool specific incentives that would hopefully pull together the 10 or 15 people that might be able to commute to Livingston easily, pick up a van and come on into Charlottesville, or perhaps Stanton, or perhaps Lake Monticello. A van pool is really a strategy that works well for a distance of probably 25 plus miles. So we're looking how we can really encourage people on that route. We'd also like to reward, we have rewarded carpool users, but we want to look to see how we can very specifically reward bikers and walkers. We're going to continue to add covered bike parking. That's if you are a bike commuter, you have invested quite a bit in that bicycle and you don't want it to get rained on, you don't want it to be exposed to perhaps being stolen, so we are looking to add covered bike parking on grounds. Very happy to be participating in the discussions on regional transit. I'm sure you've been following that in the paper as well. And then a really interesting strategy that is in place at some other universities as an idea called car sharing. That one's really geared more toward the students, but what it provides is a car that you can rent by the hour. And so a student might be able to rent a car for 2 hours to go for a hike or something out in the Shenandoah National Park, and they don't have to bring a car here, they don't have to store their car or drive it around, they just rent this car for the hour and go enjoy what they're going to do, put the car back, and they only have to pay for the 2 hours that they use the car. So we're still in contract negotiations for that, but it is something that we hope to develop. On that note, that really brings everybody up to speed on what parking and transportation's doing. I would like to invite you to our table at the end of the remarks so that any questions or ideas can be shared, and we have some resources to share as well.